Over to my colleague from here.
Please.
Yeah.
This is not the first time we've witnessed violence directed at the opposition leaders during low public activities. In April this year, leaders who included His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, and Eugene Wamalwa were attacked on their way to Kikuyu for a rally. There have been many similar attacks, some in places of worship, or targeting opposition leaders, and which have not been acted upon by the police. Only days ago, Her Excellency Martha Karua, Senior Counsel, and the party leader of the PLP experienced an attack while accompanying clients for the lawful implementation of High Court orders at Gatoto Primary School in Mukuru Kwa Ruben, where court-directed security was not provided despite express judicial orders. These incidences, together with the events unfolding across the country, raise serious questions about whether public institutions are discharging their constitutional obligations impartially and effectively. Kenya cannot become a nation where organized violence is answered by organized retaliation. While every citizen has a right to personal safety, we must resist any temptation to normalize mob justice or politically motivated reprisals. Once violence becomes an accepted instrument of political competition, no community, no political party, and no citizen will remain safe. History teaches us that political violence rarely harms politicians most. It destroys the livelihoods of ordinary Kenyans or citizens. It is traders whose businesses are looted, border riders whose motorcycles are burnt, families who lose loved ones, and young people who are recruited into criminality, while those who incite them retreat to safety. The buck stops with William Ruto and his regime. He is the chief executive of the government and bears the greatest responsibility. He is sworn to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. It is therefore his duty to ensure that the security apparatus of the country are functional and up to their duty of maintaining law and order. The National Police Service is constitutionally mandated to protect Kenyans without fear, favor, or political considerations. Law enforcement agents must act impartially to prevent violence whenever it occurs, investigate every criminal act, and ensure that all perpetrators, sponsors, and organizers are held accountable through due process. This is unlikely to happen where public officials engage in partisan political posturing and campaigns. Unfortunately, the CS for Internal Security, Juan Kipchumba Murkomen, and his PS Raymond Omolo are playing partisan politics which distorts the role of security agencies. We are aware of the mobilization of police from all corners of the Republic to go to Olkalau. We urge police deployed to Olkalau to perform their duties impartially and to reject any unlawful orders to violate the law and play partisan roles. The IEBC, police deployed to man elections, are deemed to be electoral officials and are under your direct command, and you must issue any lawful orders, and any partisan engagement by police will be attributed to you if not acted upon. I yield to my brother, SKM.
How far have you gone? Up to
Compliance.
violence? Yeah. Equally, political leaders across the divide must exercise restraint in both word and deed. Leadership demands responsibility, especially during moments of heightened political tension. We must reject language that fuels division and instead reaffirm our shared commitment to peaceful democratic competition. Kenya demonstrated constitutional maturity in 2022 through a peaceful transfer of presidential power. We must not allow that achievement to be undermined by a growing culture of intimidation, goonism, and politically sponsored violence. I want to add state-sponsored political violence. We therefore call upon the government to reassure, I think we are being very polite here, to reassure all Kenyans that every lawful political gathering will receive equal protection under the law. Public confidence in the impartiality of state institutions is indispensable to democratic stability. Finally, we appeal directly to our fellow citizens, wazalendo wenzetu. Do not allow yourselves to become instruments of violence on behalf of any political interest. Refuse to be recruited into gangs. Refuse to retaliate against fellow citizens. These are your brothers and sisters. Protect one another. Uphold the Constitution and insist that political differences be resolved through lawful institutions, not through the streets. To the IBC, as you preside over Al-Kalau by-election, do so under the law and perform your duties with utmost professionalism and impartiality. We have seen the statement by Mr. Efcon. The only thing I remember is saying, don't take photos, whatever. Don't use your phones and what have you. This for Mr. Efcon. We're telling it to you directly and your team. If you bungle Al-Kalau, Kenyans have absolutely no reason to hold you in high esteem. You have powers to sanction anyone, including bigwigs in government, who violate electoral laws as well as those who orchestrate violence. Do not stand idle while the integrity of elections and your very own office is eroded. What happens on Thursday will demonstrate whether or not you are an impartial arbiter. As I've actually repeatedly said, you have the opportunity to prove you are not a William RUTO Commission, that you are Kenyan Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And secondly, your capacity to hold a free and fair and credible general election will actually be put to test on Thursday. Kenya belongs equally to those who govern today and to those who aspire to govern tomorrow. We reiterate, the alternative united government. Let us therefore choose peace over provocation, law over lawlessness, and national unity over political division. Let all state agencies, including the police and IBC, serve all equally without fear or favor. You have seen Mr. Kanja. You're deployed of 1,000. I think it's on everybody's telephone. 1,000 police have been deployed to Al-Kalau. We pray to God that this is not another kind of election as happened in Bere North. And the country noted. UDA lost Bere election. UDA lost in Malaba. And we all know that. Why don't you just accept defeat? We know that a minister, a cabinet minister, took over a polling station. And Kenyan has to scamper for peace, run for their dear lives from a minister. Well, all these state officers, we should not engage in politics. And you know it. You know it is in the Constitution. And you are out there. You are distributing relief food, you are giving mattresses. Blatant abuse of office and the electoral code of conduct. We are watching. The country is watching. In fact, I want to add, the international community is actually watching Al-Kalau. All of us are watching. Election comes and goes, but Kenya must remain. Kenya is bigger than any one individual, let alone those who choose to be used to destroy our beloved nation. I want to add, Mr. Ruto, accept defeat. It is decent to do so. My sister, mother, and our late brother, who has gone to rest, accepted the verdict of the Supreme Court of Kenya.
Even when we didn't.
Even when we didn't believe it was hot air. We took it. We were called hot air staffers. We took it. Mr. Ruto must prepare to lose this election. We're even aware of your cooking attempts to through Infratrack to try and divide the opposition. We are aware. Gunism has no place in Kenya now or ever or forever. Kenya will not become another Haiti. We know you send our boys there, maybe to learn, to benchmark, and we are beginning to see evidence of Haiti type of gangsterism in our country every day. We will not accept it. Our answer to violence must never be more violence. Our answer must be justice, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. This is our statement. If anybody has any question.
Question. My name is Ndubi Moturi for Daily Nation. We have seen a report today by the Kofi Annan Foundation saying that there's a high likelihood, around 84% of violence in the 2027 upcoming election. What could be your reaction to this report?
Our reaction is serious concern. Kofi Annan Foundation is one of the reputable international organizations, named, of course, after, was started by our late brother, the late Kofi Annan, United Nations General Secretary. Yes, and this has gone, by the way, to all the investment community. Anybody who wants to put their money in Kenya stands guided by that kind of research, Oturi, that you're referring to. 84% of likelihood of violence next year is terrible news for this country's economy. And leave alone the economy, Kenyan livelihoods. So we must all act together. And this is the moment. Another question? Your mother.
Let me say something on that. There's something we can do as Kenyans. We can reject violence as a means. The goons are coming from our homes as citizens, our neighborhoods, our communities. Let us talk to each other. And to the police, the few rogue who are working hand in hand with goons. Remember, you destroy Kenya, you too will not have a home. We can live without being leaders, or we will defeat violence. And I want to remind those in power, power is transient. I'll remind you, in our state, he fell. He's rotting probably somewhere in jail. Egypt was a police state. Tahrir Square still happened. China, Tiananmen Square happened, and you know China. Hitler disturbed the entire world. Allied forces together, he still fell. It is not a question of if you will leave power, those who are in power today. It's a question of when. And we preserve our homeland so that in or out of power, you have a place. This is my call to William Ruto and his KK regime and to fellow Kenyans.
The second question is about your relationship as United Opposition with Linda Wananchi. We saw a little bit of division that was allowed. We have had with the members who are advising the Linda Wananchi government around
I think I can quickly answer that, and maybe my friends may have better answers. You know, when you're building coalitions, it's